Good day to you peeps and welcome to the second part of the Hollow Knight review. Last time I put a great deal of focus into describing and pinpointing exactly what I loved about this game and why, in my opinion, then it's one of the best games of 2017 and one of the most ambitious indie games of all time. But this time we're gonna put on our negative goggles and we're gonna go picking. Nitpicking. Because as a game released at a sales-worthy price for a game of its size, then there didn't really appear any huge deal breakers to me, but mostly just smaller aspects of the game that I think should be criticized and improved upon. So don't look at this video like Hollow Knight, what's bad? But instead look at like Hollow Knight, what is good, but could be gooder. By the way, if you actually want a long and in-depth critique of this game, then I really recommend you go watch the video Hollow Knight Critique by Joseph Anderson here on YouTube. He does a way better job at explaining and argumenting than I do. But anyway, prepare the dislike button and let's dive into negativity. First of all, then I want to talk about the problem that I kind of avoided last episode, which is bosses and the difficulty of exploration. Hollow Knight gets frequently compared to other games like Dark Souls, that is also very iconic for its bosses and exploration. And like Dark Souls, then Hollow Knight seems to kind of end up having the same pitfalls, one of them being very inconsistent difficulty. Even though Hollow Knight somewhat controls where you're able to go by giving you access to different abilities at different times, then it still feels like the difficulty jumps and falls frequently. Exploration difficulty, as example, takes a dive as soon as you get the dash ability, and some bosses after that start feeling like the Magus and Congregation boss fight from Dark Souls 2. This could actually be used in a cool way to show how powerful you are with your new abilities, but the fact that you have to progress a fair bit of the game before the difficulty catches up makes it kind of feel unintentional. There's also 18 bosses in the main game, which is a lot for an indie game, but still not enough to spare just throwing away by making 7 or 8 of them optional. And while I'm all up for the you have to explore to find more bosses idea, then I often found myself fighting the optional bosses, which I mostly fought when my little knight was way too overpowered. One example for me was the Mantis Lord's boss fight, which seemed like it would have been such a cool early game fight, but I actually didn't encounter it before late game, making me almost wish the boss fight was forced instead of optional. Another way to fix this would be that as you progress, then maybe you could just add more health or add some sort of difficulty modifier to the bosses so they're still cool to fight later on. I also want to talk about a specific area when it comes to difficulty, which is an area called the depths. The depths. This area is supposed to take the role of the big contrast to the cutesy part of the game. It's said to be terrifying with its looming creatures, creepy music, unsettling overall atmosphere and paranoia-inducing traps and ambushes, which I think is the perfect idea for that area, except that in my opinion then it's too easy. Yeah, the area is creepy and very intimidating at first, but it doesn't take you too long before you easily avoid traps and just start thinking the small ambushing creatures are annoying. I think that the area should remain intimidating due to its difficulty and should make anyone at any stage of the game want to avoid that area. So it sort of just feels like wasted potential when it doesn't really turn out to be that way. The only really difficult aspect of it being the navigation. Navigation is actually my last main problem, which isn't bottom barrel nitpicking like air control feeling a bit weird and that getting hit stops gameplay momentarily. Navigation in this game is hard because to navigate then you need to rely on this guy. This is not a nice guy, this is an annoying guy. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania and focuses on exploration and backtracking a lot. But while the game looks pretty, then some areas and rooms still look very similar, meaning you could end up walking in circles for hours trying to hopelessly and frustratingly trying to find your way around, unless you have a map for that area, which you can only buy from Cornifer the map maker, who's located somewhere in that area. You know, the area you can't navigate without a map. He doesn't even sell you a map, he sells you a piece of paper where you can like fill out the area you've explored yourself. This stupid ripoff. Anyway, I get what the developers were kind of going for, and it definitely is an interesting mechanic to have the player aimless wander around unknown territory for a bit, before finally being given the tools to navigate it. Problem is, that isn't guaranteed to happen. I have wandered through plenty of places aimlessly while trying to progress without ever finding him in that area. And even though he has the whole singing mechanic to help you find him, then these areas are still pretty big and you can easily miss even the room he's in. Don't get me wrong, I like exploring the world of Hollow Nest. I just don't like accidentally exploring the same part of Hollow Nest 5 times in a row. But anyway, that was basically all I've got. As previously mentioned, then there are tons of small details that I think could be improved upon but are way too unnoticeable to deserve being mentioned in this short critique video. Once again, if you really want a long and in-depth critique, then go watch Joseph Anderson's Hollow Knight critique video here on YouTube. But this is basically just what I got. Don't forget that Hollow Knight is still an amazing game, and if you haven't, then I recommend you go watch the first part of this video before disliking it, which only focuses on the aspects that drew me to love this game. Anywho, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.